the biggest, a lot of people did, bro. I fought with a lot of people, but the biggest inspiration was that nigga Wayne. Mm-hmm. But the way that he goddamn greeted me, that's like the second, that's like really the main reason why I never, goddamn, I always had in my mind, like I never in my life treat another person like this.
There's an age-old saying that you never know whom you're entirely dealing with unless money is involved. That in particular has been the case between the two rappers we'll be talking about today, Young Thug and Lil Wayne. Both rappers have been going at each other's throats for what has felt like ages now. But what could have been the root of it? More importantly, what's the tea about Thugger's sinister attempt to unalive Wayne in the past? Find out about all that and more in this video. Without further ado, let's dive right in. So then, Lil Wayne and Young Thug. Both are well known in the game and hugely successful and rich. However, this story actually started off between a teacher and his prodigy before everything abruptly stopped after a few online squabbles went wrong, and in the heat of it, attempts to put one down, permanently. Well, for starters, Lil Wayne was sort of a musical icon to Young Thug, but sadly, he put himself right into the crossfire between the two parties and eventually had to pick a side, seemingly siding with Birdman. Young Thug at first openly made his stance about the situation, saying Wayne was like an idol to him, and he didn't want to keep a beef with him. But, however, he also went on to brag about his upcoming album, knowing full well it would upset Wayne, and make no mistake, it absolutely did just that. Young Thug also hopped onto his Twitter account and then made several tweets, gassing his album up while adding a message to his fans, apologizing for the fact that his album hadn't been released yet due to the issues with Wayne and Cash Money Records. But why though? What really made Wayne so mad about everything? It's public knowledge now that Young Thug attempted to unalive Lil Wayne. However, the whole dilemma between the two rappers actually started with Lil Wayne's sort of personal issue with the Cash Money record label back in 2014. Or, to be more specific, the CEO of the label in question. No other than Mr. Birdman himself. A while ago, Lil Wayne had a couple of issues with his album, The Carter 5 with Birdman. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place for quite some time as the album, which was supposed to drop in 2014, was finally released on September 28th, 2018. You can undoubtedly see there's a significant gap between the 2 years as it was postponed a few times because Lil Wayne and Birdman couldn't settle their disagreements amicably. The issue eventually led to a rough court case between the two, after Wayne found that he had even been cheated by Birdman, who was stealing right off from his own profits to the tune of millions of dollars. Eventually, Wayne dropped the album on his own with his own record label, but he didn't go down without a fight, as he wasted no time telling his fans all about the whole situation. Things became much uglier between Lil Wayne and Young Thug after the former felt disrespected by the latter's choice of his album name, The Carter 6. Remember Lil Wayne's earlier album called The Carter 5? Exactly. In Young Thug's defense, he claimed he only gave his album that name in particular due to the respect he had for Lil Wayne, and basically to pay homage to him, or basically just an appraisal album title. It's also widely said that Young Thug also believes that he wouldn't be the rapper he is today had it not been for the influence of legends in the musical game like Lil Wayne. As a matter of fact, for those who actually didn't know this, way back in 2011, when Young Thug was just entering into the music scene and making a name for himself, the then 19-year-old stated that he would like to one day collaborate with Lil Wayne at some point in the future, further supporting the notion that he is a fan of Wayne's art and genre. So taking all that into consideration, perhaps he didn't see himself as someone who was here to dethrone Lil Wayne, but rather as someone who wanted to carry on the legacy that the legends had established. Lil Wayne, on the other hand, didn't believe this at all. He felt it was more of a diss and sort of a slap in the face, especially the beef he already had with Birdman, and even more so to the fact Birdman had started to be backing Young Thug more. On the other hand, Lil Wayne will not go down without a fight. Even though Young Thug had no ill will toward Lil Wayne, he couldn't shake the feeling that Young Thug was out for his personal glory, and of course, his old foe Birdman was out for his pound of flesh. And that only meant that he had to fight back as soon as he heard about Young Thug's plan to name his album Carter 6. And especially given the design of the album's cover, he simply had enough. Things also peaked when Wayne openly told his fans in one of his live performances not to listen to the new album that Thugger was going to release, or basically vibe with any other releases of Young Thug. However, Young Thug clapped back after making a reply of his own, insisting that he doesn't want beef with Lil Wayne. However, things started to be a bit two-faced when he went on his Twitter account to tell his fans and the music world about the day his album would be released, while still implying Lil Wayne should meet with him one-on-one to settle their beef. Interestingly, he wasn't alone in the video he uploaded. He had some of his goons behind him, who were all fully strapped, as if gearing up for a battle, or a war even. At the end of the whole media drama, the album was released, but with a completely different name and also under a completely different record label. But why? Well, Lil Wayne's response to the whole video was rather creative. He decided to file a lawsuit against Young Thug. However, after Young Thug heard of Lil Wayne's plans, he decided not to wait for that to happen. Perhaps having been afraid of possibly losing the case and money. He changed the name of the album from Carter 6 to replacing the C with a B, making Barter 6 instead. Interestingly, a lot of people believe the B stands for blood, but Young Thug himself hasn't made any statement about it. After the album from Young Thug got released, social media had an absolute feast with banter flying from here and there. The discussion of who was better between Thug and Lil Wayne went rampant, especially because, in reality, both rappers certainly sound alike while still having a really identical style or genre of music, regardless of Wayne's GOAT status. The albums themselves also picked up quite a couple of controversies. A lot of people were split between which album was better in comparison to Lil Wayne's Carter 6 and Young Thug's Barter 6. The rappers in question also had a lot of diss statements about one another. In quite a lot of shows between the two rappers, they wasted no time speaking ill of the other, fueling the growing dispute between them. It was no longer hidden that there was bad blood flowing. Things didn't slow down at all. In fact, it got even more heated between the two of them once Lil Wayne's tour bus got shot up by some individual. Lil Wayne had a performance in the city of Atlanta, and while he was traveling as part of his musical tour, as a matter of fact, in one of his very last places, someone in a white car pulled up close to Lil Wayne's bus and started firing his arms right at it repeatedly. Lil Wayne wasn't alone on the bus, as he had some of his people riding with him. But regardless of the case, luckily, no one on the bus was harmed or even had serious injuries. The shooter in question was none other than Jimmy Winfrey, aka Pee Wee Roscoe, who was arrested briefly after the shooting and was slammed with aggravated assault threats and acts while still receiving a couple of other charges in court, like damage to property, possession of a firearm, wielding it in public, criminal gang activity, and basically a couple of other similar felonies. If you're one of the people who widely believed that Pee Wee Roscoe was in some sort of connection between Young Thug and Birdman, then your suspicion and hunch would be absolutely correct, as Jimmy Winfrey was actually part of Young Thug's roll call at the time. Perhaps he thought unaliving Lil Wayne rather discreetly was a chance to earn some additional reputation and respect, to move up in the gang ranking. The official indictment for him, though, came a little while after the incident, and Birdman and Young Thug were the two names believed to be behind it. According to the indictment, Pee Wee Roscoe was in touch with both Young Thug and Birdman just right after the incident. And as a matter of fact, he first talked to Birdman, and then just a little after that, he talked with Thugger. Taking all that into context, according to the indictment, it's really not out of the ordinary as to why they most likely had a thing or two to do with all that. However, they were both never charged or taken into custody for any of it. After all the steam had been let loose a couple of years later, Young Thug talked about the relationship he had with Lil Wayne. He said that Wayne doesn't like him because he's been with Birdman his whole life, and ever since things weren't going in Lil Wayne's preferred direction anymore, like a spoiled baby, he had to throw a tantrum about it. So, there you have it, a sequential rundown of Lil Wayne, Young Thug, and not to mention Birdman's history of the rivalry. What are your thoughts about it all? Whose side are you on? We look forward to hearing from you in the comment section. Continue to the next video on your screen if you loved this one.